How do you convert what is a deficit relative to the Republicans just over the last 12 months into the kind of structure that propelled the president to the presidency here?
Well, the notion that Republicans have outraised Democrats is not a new proposition. Back in 2005, the Republican National Committee outraised the Democratic National Committee 2-1, and we took over the House of Representatives in 2006. And
so
why did and this year we had our best year since 2013. Republicans have more wealthy donors. We're talking to ordinary Americans. We're not talking to simply the 1%. And so we raise more money than 2013. We don't raise as much money as the Republicans, quite simply because they got this massive tax cut that benefits corporations and very, very wealthy people. And as Chris Collins said from New York State, the congressman, we've got to pass this tax bill because our donors need help. And what we have that they don't have is we're on the right side of the issues. And that's why I feel so confident heading into 2018.
But the president took the platform last night and said, look, whether it's the tax reform or other things, things are benefiting all Americans here, whether it's more jobs. He made the point there. We're starting to see wage gains. There were many reasons for all Americans last night to smile, and yet the cameras panned round to the Democrats there, and they were frowning. They had their arms folded. Was that justified? Well, there were reasons to be positive last night, and they didn't seem able to be.
When you play fast and loose with the facts, when you're constantly divisive like this president, it's hard to sit there and be warm and fuzzy. You look at the economic betrayal of this president. He says
but jobs are being gained, wages are starting to rise. There were reasons for all Americans, Democratic or Republican, to be happy there. Why couldn't the Democrats show appreciation for that?
Because we have to understand the context. The pace of job growth in the first year of the Trump administration slowed from the last year of the Obama administration.
But it gets harder and harder to add jobs, so that's a nefarious point, really.
If I'm running an 8-minute mile at the end of the Obama administration, and you start running a 9-minute mile, that's great that you ran a 9-minute mile, but you'd prefer to run an 8-minute mile. You see more offshoring of manufacturing jobs. Wages continue to be stagnant, and this administration, at the Labor Department, we put in place an overtime rule to help people get paid more, and they took that away. People are struggling with access to health care, opioid addiction. And what did this president do? He made it harder through their tax bill for millions of Americans to get access to health care. So I'm concerned about everyday Americans. 2017 was a great year for the 1%, but for everybody else, for people struggling to make ends meet, they're finding it harder now to get access to health care. They're not seeing the benefits that this president is touting because those benefits go disproportionately to people at the top.
But what the figures suggested yesterday, and yes, there was some perhaps rounding errors that you can argue there and some massaging of the numbers, but by and large things are improving, and I think that's the point here. But what you've argued ultimately is that the financial difference here is not going to be a disadvantage in the 2018 midterms. Listen, do you agree with that fact?
This is the most divisive president in American history. His immigration proposal will hurt the economy. It's mean-spirited, and it's contrary to our basic American values of inclusion. So it's bad for the economy. It's not good for the economy.
The Democrats looked mean-spirited last night, though, when the cameras panned on them. They didn't look happy about the gains that are having. It's part of the reason why the Democrats are struggling to some degree to match the donations. And I get your point about who Republicans tend to be in terms of financial rewards, but it's part of it that they don't have a leader to unite behind. They don't know who they're donating the money to. Do you need a leader to get a consistent message here?
I'll tell you what's mean-spirited. Mean-spirited is every time you talk about a dreamer, you refer to MS-13 in the same sentence. That is, dreamers are serving this nation with distinction right now. Dreamers were out there in the front lines after hurricanes and other natural disasters, and every time you see the use of MS-13 in the same sentence, that's not a dog whistle, because there's no subtlety about what this president is trying to do there.
The president had a point when he said all Americans are allowed to dream effectively, and this should be about more than just those, surely.
Well, but if you look at the course of American history, every time we've been at an inflection point, whether it was a Republican president like Lincoln or a Democratic president like FDR, we got to the next level when presidents brought people together. They united us. They understood that our common values were what made America great. And what we have is a president who divides us.
Talk
who
about
says
the Democrats,
you can only...
though, not the president. One line. What does the Democratic Party stand for at this moment? One line.
We stand for shared prosperity for everyone, not just a few at the top. We believe health care is a right for all and not a privilege for a few. We believe that our economy does great when we treat our dreamers with respect and give them that piece of paper.